Hi, hey, hello, how's it going? It's Emily, and we're gonna be reading some romances. It is the week of Valentine's Day, and I mentioned all of the romances that I plan to read this week in my TBR video for the month. And I'm just planning on reading all 5 of those pretty much straight through. Hopefully I can read them pretty quickly, and hopefully I'll be able to check in a decent amount as well. It's a Tuesday as I'm starting this vlog. Normally I'm in the office and wouldn't be able to check in, but there's going to be a snowstorm today, so we're actually working from home today. And so I figured I'd just use my lunch break to just go ahead and start this vlog, and we might be working from home tomorrow as well because of the same snowstorm. So we'll see what happens, but hopefully I'll be able to check in and keep up with this vlog and read through these pretty quickly. I'm starting with Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood, and I know she just came out with one. Is it Deep End that I need to read? So I'll get to that one at some point, but I did want to catch up with her before that most recent release. And yeah, I'm about halfway through. So this one follows Rue and Eli, and Rue is an engineer. She works for a company that was started by someone who was teaching, had an idea, was doing some research on her own, and was able to patent that technology, started a company around that technology. It's in the food science, biofuels space. Like, yeah, our main character has worked a lot in the food science area, but I think her patent is like also in kind of the biotechnology space. Anyway, so she is, doing her thing. She, at the beginning of the story, is supposed to have this essentially one-night stand with our other main character, Eli. They match on an app. They decide to meet up. The intention just kind of, again, having that one interaction, probably not having any others. She had a bad interaction with someone and was kind of mentally off during this meeting, and ultimately doesn't want to do anything more, and he's fine with that. He actually helps protect her from someone who was like trying to get her to talk to him, and so he kind of helps her in that situation. And they think they're not going to interact any further than that. But he ends up working for a company that is trying to buy the company that Rue works for, and potentially trying to get control of the patent and the technology. So he's involved in that company. And she comes to realize this when there's a meeting at work about this, and he's there, and then he realizes that she works for this company that they're trying to buy. And so then it becomes an interesting situation with kind of them on very different sides of this work situation. But they still have this really great chemistry. So it's been really fun so far. I'm enjoying their banter. I'm enjoying the chemistry. I'm enjoying her kind of passion for her work, and her love for her work and what she does, and her friendship with the owner of the company who has this patent and has started this company. Her friendships with some of her other colleagues. It's just been really, really fun so far, and it feels really good to be back in an Ali Hazelwood book. So very positive start for the first half, unsurprisingly. So yeah, I will continue working on this one and then come back when I have finished, hopefully either tomorrow or maybe early the next day. So I have finished Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood, realizing it's upstairs and I don't want to go get it. So we're just gonna talk about it. So I did really enjoy this one. It's definitely very different tonally from a lot of her other books, which she does mention at the very beginning. So it wasn't a surprise, but it is very different tonally. I think a bit more serious, definitely a bit more spicy than some of her other books. But I still really enjoyed it. I still love their dynamic. They had great communication, or at least just really wanted to make sure they were talking through certain things and learning how to open up to each other. And there's still this tension with, his company is trying to buy out their company or buy out her, the company that she works for, and that dynamic and why that's going on. More about what's going on with that gets revealed throughout the book. And I don't know, I like their dynamic. I like them trying to work through everything. Again, very different tonally, just a bit more serious. Not to say that there weren't funny moments in this one, but this one definitely just felt a bit more serious than some of her other ones did. But I still really enjoyed, and I have moved on to the next one. I'm now probably 60-ish, maybe a little over 60-ish% of the way through Happy Place by Emily Henry, and I'm also really enjoying this one, to no one's shock and surprise. I've heard some mixed things about this one in particular from Emily Henry, but I'm still... I don't know, I'm still enjoying it so far. It follows Harriet and Wen, and I think I gave a super brief synopsis when I was first introducing this one in the TBR video. But there's this friend group on the cover here. They've been friends since college, and one of their families owns this coastal cabin, and so that's where they like to go for kind of a yearly getaway that they've been continuing to do over the years, to stay in touch and just make sure that they get that fresh coastal air and a nice break. And so it's something they look forward to every year. But Harriet and Wen haven't told their friends that they broke up. They've been together for quite a long time, and they haven't told their friends that they've broken up, and they weren't expecting to be at the cottage together this time. They worked it out such that Harriet would be able to go this year, and Wen would make his excuses, and maybe Wen could go next year and Harriet would make her excuses. Anyway, how they were expecting to be able to do that for very long, I don't know. But, they weren't expecting, at least this year, maybe they could work something else out in the future, but they weren't expecting to be at the cottage together this year. She was expecting to be able to go and him not be there. But to her surprise, he's there. And the reason he's there is because the family who owns the cottage is actually going to be selling the cottage, and so this is the last time that they can have their yearly getaway in that cottage. And so Wen's friends had contacted, had talked to him separately and been like, no, this is going to be the last year, you have to come, you can't miss this year, this is going to be our last hurrah at this cottage, you have to come. And so he does end up coming. And of course, they actually, live in separate places. So even though their friends didn't know that they had broken up, their friends did know that they live in separate places and had been, what their friends thought was doing, a long distance relationship. And so, of course, their friends are like, oh, we know you haven't seen each other in a while, or can't see each other very often. Y'all can get the master bedroom with the king bed and the ensuite bathroom and whatever. Y'all can take that room. Of course. And so, they're not only in the cottage together, but sleeping in the same bed, or there's only one bed. Anyway, so they're trying to, and for another reason too, that's not in the synopsis, there's another reason too that they just don't quite want to tell their friends yet. And so I don't want to talk about it just because it's not in the synopsis, but, anyway, so they have reasons. They want to enjoy their last week at this cottage with their friends without disappointing them or kind of bringing the mood down for the week. And so, they're trying their best to pretend like they're still dating and just, sticking it out for the week. And which of course, is going to bring them back closer together. And I'm liking the vibe, I'm liking the dynamic. I like this friend group. I like the vibe of just them hanging out in this cottage and doing kind of their normal things that they tend to do as a group, and trying to make the most of this last time in the cottage. So I'm just having fun with this one. And yeah, I will check back in once I'm done. And I think I'm gonna do The Rom-Commers by Catherine Center next, since I have that audiobook checked out from the library. So yeah, I will check in once I'm done with Happy Place. So I am now done with Happy Place. Really enjoyed this one. Just had a really fun time with this Finn group and them figuring things out. I can definitely understand why people maybe don't like this one as much and get frustrated with the characters more than they do for some Emily Henry books. Definitely can understand, because sometimes you just want to shake them and tell them to talk things through. I also really enjoyed, I think I forgot to mention this in the previous clip, but I also really enjoyed that we're in the present day in this final year at this cabin, but we also go back and see the development of her and Wynn's relationship and kind of see that develop and see what happened to kind of bring them apart, and you know, why they ultimately want to fight for each other and how they learn how to do that, which was pretty cool. It definitely helped build, you know, that tension and that kind of desire for us to see them back together. And I think it was very successfully done. So I really enjoyed that element as well. But I still had fun with it. And I am now a decent portion of the way through Rom-Commers by Catherine Center. So also really enjoying this one. Who was shocked? I love Catherine Center. So this one follows Emma, and she has been taking care of her dad for the past good number of years, basically put her life on hold to take care of her dad after a really bad accident that also took the life of her mother. And she gets a call from her agent, who is also someone she knew in high school. And her agent calls and says, "Hey, I have a job for you," and says that she can help, or that, you know, the job is to help Charlie Yates, who is a well-known screenwriter, help him with his most recent script. So Charlie Yates normally does kind of more action type movies, horror, does more in that vein, but is writing a rom-com script, and it's awful. It's terrible. She is sent this script and just does not like it and wants to fix it, and ultimately decides to go to LA. Her sister is able to come in and help take care of her dad, and so she's able to go to LA to Charlie's house and help work on this screenplay. Problem is, Charlie wasn't necessarily on board. They have the same agent, which is part of why this happened. Charlie wasn't necessarily on board, but you know, she gets there, finds out that he wasn't really on board, is about to go back, but through circumstances ultimately agrees to have her help him work on this movie script. And it's, you know, she loves rom-coms. That's basically what she has been working on writing. The things that she has been able to write while taking care of her dad have mostly been kind of in that genre, in that vein. And so, you know, she's teaching him about what rom-coms are, and, you know, what the structure is supposed to be, what elements are supposed to be there, how to build romantic tension in the story, and of course in the process, yeah, of course they're gonna fall in love, right? That's the point of a rom-com, and this book is a rom-com. And so yeah, it's just a bunch of just really funny circumstances that allow them to work on the script, get closer, and just kind of go through life in LA working on this script. And so yeah, I've really enjoyed it, and it's just kind of been fun, just the different situations and the people that she's meeting along the way. It's just been really entertaining. So I'm going to finish this one maybe today, early tomorrow. And I think the Formula One romance is going to be next on deck. We're at a different place. We are looking after Matt's parents' family dog, and she normally would be fine in our place, but she recently had to get ACL surgery, poor thing, and would not do well with the stairs that are at our place. So we're hanging out here and looking after her. So yeah, I'll be sure to get some clips of her. She is a sweetheart. So I also, yesterday, we took a little trip to a bookstore that's near his parents' place, and I did pick up Blood of Hercules and I'm Afraid You've Got Dragons. Oops. So very excited about those, but yeah. So I'll check in once I have finished the rom-comers. So quick check-in. I have finished The Rom-Comers by Catherine Center. Also really enjoyed this one, to no one's surprise. I was wondering where the third act conflict was going. I assumed it was going in a particular direction, and I was correct. I'm like, okay, this is the one scenario where this could have been okay. So, you know, I ended up not minding the third act conflict. But yeah, had a really good time with this one. And I just love that it centered rom-coms, and it was just a celebration of rom-coms and love and reading romance, and I love that. So I have since been reading Throttled by Lauren Asher. This is the first book in her Dirty Air series that follows Formula One centered romances, so I've definitely been having fun with this one. And we're following Noah and Maya, and Noah is kind of the lead driver on a team. There was a situation at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and for those who don't know Formula One, that's kind of the final Grand Prix of the season every year, so it follows a very similar calendar every year, Formula One does. And Abu Dhabi is the last Grand Prix, so that can sometimes be where, you know, the driver championship is won or lost, or the team championship is won or lost. And so there was a situation where Noah gets into an accident with a particular driver, and Santi is his nickname. That's what his sister calls him, this other driver. So Noah gets into an accident with Santi, and so he kind of blames Santi for him losing the driver championship that year. So we fast forward a bit. It's a new season, and Santi has been offered a contract to be kind of the second driver on this team. And so, you know, Noah and Santi have been rivals, but they're now teammates, but there's still that tension and that rivalry from previous seasons. And so we're also following Santi's sister Maya, who is so proud that her brother has come so far in Formula One, that he has won a driver championship and, you know, has been really, really successful, has been offered a spot on this really great team and has a really good contract, and, you know, is enjoying what he's doing. Like, she's so proud of him. She is gonna be following him around for the season. So she just graduated college and is wanting to kind of figure out what she wants to do. She knows some things about what she wants to do. She loves film and, you know, loves video work. And so, you know, she thinks that one of the things that could help just get experience is to kind of go around with her brother and like film her personal experience going through the Formula One season with her brother, which honestly would be so cool. And so she, you know, is traveling around with him, and of course in that process meets Noah as Santi's teammate. And, you know, of course she wants to support her brother, so, you know, he's very skeptical about her getting close to Noah at all based on their tension and their dynamic. And she, you know, doesn't want to kind of be drawn to him either, and of course is very physically drawn to him. It's kind of a lust-fueled thing at first, but you know, it's just been so fun. And then of course we dig into Noah's family and his awful parents and what he's been going through. Doesn't always treat people super well, can be kind of a jerk, but you come to understand some things about why, and so does, you know, as Maya learns them, and well, as he goes through them, but also you kind of see it through Maya's eyes as she kind of sees some things that he's going through with his parents. And so anyway, so they start to get a bit closer as she tries to help him through some of those things, and I don't know, I'm just having a great time. And it is super fun to follow a romance that has the backdrop of F1, just being a huge F1 fan at this point, thanks to Matt getting me into F1. But yeah, I'm a fan at this point, and I'm very excited for the season to start up before too long. The next season of Drive to Survive, which is the Netflix series that kind of follows, like they film throughout the season, and then after the season they'll release this Drive to Survive season on Netflix about the previous Formula One season, essentially. And so, you know, they kind of follow the drivers around, kind of like Maya is, and just kind of tell the story of the season from different perspectives. And it's always just so much fun. So that is going to be airing, or starting, or to be on Netflix airing. It's going to be on Netflix starting, I think, the 7th of March. And then I think the first Grand Prix happens the next weekend, if I'm remembering correctly. Anyway, so before too long, we'll be having some Formula One. So I'm very excited about that. But yeah, so far so good. Just having a good time with this one. So I'll check in once I've read more. Hi, Missy. You wanna say hi? You wanna say hi? This is Annie. Annie, you wanna say hi to the book? You wanna say hi to the book? You wanna say hi to the book? You wanna say hi to the people? This is what we've been dealing with all week. This cuteness right here. This cuteness right here. I'll give a book update later, but priorities. Priorities. So here to wrap up this vlog, I have finished Throttled by Lauren Asher. Really enjoyed this one. Particularly enjoyed the backdrop of F1. It is a backdrop, so for any F1 fans, I mean, it obviously is very centered around Formula One, but it doesn't go into too much detail. And it was kind of funny. I was expecting it to go into a little more detail, and then me kind of nitpick the details just as a fan who's been watching for a few years at this point. Anyway, I was expecting there to be a little bit more detail. It was kind of funny. The only thing I really noticed in terms of the Formula One details was that there definitely were times where the team principal was on the radio with Noah saying things that the race engineer would actually be the one to communicate, which I just thought was funny. I was like, no, the race engineer would be the one to say that, not the team principal. They wouldn't go on the radio to say that. But anyway, neither here nor there. But it was so much fun. I think honestly that was my favorite part, was just to have that backdrop of F1 and kind of see it through Maya's eyes, cheering her brother on, eventually starting to cheer Noah on too as they're starting to get closer, and just, yeah, seeing her document everything and just enjoy the process of, you know, documenting her experiences, documenting the racers' experiences, kind of giving that like slight behind the scenes world to her viewers. It was just fun, and I'm looking forward to reading the other ones in the series. I think there are 4 total, so I think I've got 3 left, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, I'm looking forward to them. I also then did read Jane in Love by Rachel Gibney, and this was also a delight. If you're a Jane Austen fan and just want something centered around Jane Austen and just kind of a love letter to Jane Austen, would recommend. So in this one we're following, of course, Jane Austen as she was back in her time. She's trying to find a husband, has not been very successful, and of course needs to in order to secure a future for herself that's better than what she would otherwise be able to have in 1800s England. And so she hasn't written anything at this point. She goes to someone who is termed a matchmaker, and in this process ends up getting thrust into the future. She ends up getting, coming across the filming of an adaptation of one of her works. And so at first, people are like, wait, who are you? She's like, oh, I'm Jane Austen. And they're like, okay, like, who are you? And she, in particular, is starting to talk to one of the actresses in this film. And, at first, this actress just kind of thinks this is another actress who's just kind of been sent to just mess with her, and that she must be, she must be a method actress and just committed to this bit about pretending to be Jane Austen. This is absolutely absurd. She's starting to go along with it just to see what happens and to see. So the director of the film is her ex-husband, and so there's some stuff going on there. And so she genuinely thinks that her husband has hired this person to pretend to be Jane and just mess with her, and or that someone has hired this person to just mess with her, and that she's just, again, very committed to the role. And then some things are happening that she's just like, wait, what, like, are you really Jane Austen, like, from back in time, and you've been thrust into the future? Anyway, and she starts to fall for this actress's brother. So this actress kind of takes Jane in because Jane doesn't really have anywhere else to go, or she doesn't have anyone to turn to. She doesn't know anyone in 21st century London, and she's trying to find the place that she met this matchmaker, because the matchmaker said that there would always be someone like her at this location. And so she's trying to track down where she went back in the 1800s to meet this matchmaker to see if there's someone there who could help her. So she's trying to do that. This actress takes her in because she doesn't really have anywhere else to go, and including meeting her brother. And Jane is, at first, things are kind of weird, of course, because she's from the 1800s, 18th century, 19th century, trying to figure things out in 21st century London, and trying to figure out how to go about day-to-day life with all these new technologies and new customs. And anyway, so it's just kind of weird at first, but they start to get closer, and in that process, Jane's works start to disappear from 21st century England. And so she needs to try to find a way go back to her time to actually write these works. But she's starting to fall in love. So will she follow her heart or go back and write her works? And will they be able to figure that out? Anyway, it was just fun. It was a good time. So if you, again, are a Jane Austen fan, I actually have only read a couple of her books, I think. So I actually really should go back and reread those and read the rest of her works. But I just thought this would be just a fun time. And it indeed was. So thank you again so much for joining me on this adventure to read some romance around Valentine's Day. We are, of course, back at our place after watching over Annie for a bit, and it was so nice to hang out with her for the week. She is, again, like, she's just such a sweetheart, and yeah, I needed the puppy therapy for sure. So it was good to be able to get that for a little bit and just hang out with her. Her recovery is going well, but it just takes some time. So, but she was in good spirits and seemed to be doing pretty well when we were there. So hopefully she'll keep healing. But yeah, she's just a ball of love. She's so cute. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me. Reading romance, seeing Annie and hanging out. And I'll be sure to leave my Instagram down below, as well as more information about how you can support the Black Lives Matter movement, or subscribe for more bookish content, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.